I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong?
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
As one who minored in philosophy, just enough to mess up my head for the rest of my life. You remember that question you got? Was it in science class, maybe in high school? If a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody there to hear it, will it make a sound? Now, of course, the answer to that is no, it won't, because it just moves air molecules. I know you're thinking, wait, you got to hear it crack. No, you don't, unless there's something there to receive and interpret those air molecules and their movement. You don't hear anything. Well, there is a Dr. Ray radio counterpart to that. If Dr. Ray speaks on the radio and there's nobody there to hear me, will your kids still get better? Will your husband pick up his socks? And will your mother-in-law thank you and say, you're the best mother she has ever seen, including her? Very nice to have you. Always nice to have you. Number here for the program. I remember back in the old days, we didn't make long-distance calls because they were expensive. And even when radio started out, you had to have a toll-free number. That's why we got the 877. That's a remnant. It's a throwback of the old days, which made it cheap. Well, nobody needs really free calling anymore because virtually everybody has a smartphone that you can call anywhere in the universe, probably the nearby galaxy. But the number is 877-573-7825. In the old days, we really didn't worry about area codes because we didn't make long-distance calls. They were like $12 a second. Remember that. And also, you had extensions in the front. Remember that? Ours was Glendale. My aunt's was Gyro. You had those kind of extensions. You people remember that. Some of you remember that. You may be denying it, but you're old enough to remember that. Well, the number here has no extension. If it did, it would have help, 573-7825 or something like that. Why would you call? That's up to you. A lot of reasons. Most common reason is people are asking about a situation, circumstance, someone. A lot of things can get better just for small little tweaks in the way you approach them. It's true. You don't have to have these long, drawn-out, exaggerated, overthinking solutions. Sometimes just a little nugget or a thought or a change in a tone or a word can have an effect. And that's what we try to do here. Try to give you something that might help. And if it doesn't help, it helps. And you know why it helps? Because if you call here and I'm supposed to know what I'm talking about and you think to yourself, oh, I could have thought of that. Or, that doesn't make any sense. Or, that's all he's got? That's it? Wasted his college. Well, then that makes you feel better, doesn't it? By comparison. Addition. Addition by subtraction. So we do what we can here. So the number is 877-57-EQUAL is the number. Oh, wait a minute. I got to get over there and you just reminded me, Andrew, I got to make an announcement, and I want to do it. Welcome this young lady here, so I'll get that later. Okay, enough said. We will be heading the TV show after just an absolutely great time in Buffalo, taping a few weeks back, Station of the Cross. We now are heading, we're getting in these 12 shows here, taped before the end of the year. So now we're heading to Ann Arbor. Russell Video Studios. We've been there before, but that was live audience was 9 years ago. Yeah, I know it. It's way back. So we're going to be putting up the sign-up sheet shortly there on the Ave Maria Radio website. But it's not up yet as far as I know, but hopefully it will be, and that'll be October 28th and 29th. So we start the push for the audience. Okay, that said, I want to give you a phrase that would make your kids mad, especially teenage kids. When you have a particular parenting decision you've made and you've told them about it, or they've asked you for some permission, some privilege, something they want, and you realize, no, this ain't good for them. And first thing they do is they try to pull you into an argument. And the way they do this is they ask you why. Dr. Ray, that's not an argument. Well, they're just seeking my rationale. Okay. If they were seeking your rationale and you gave them your rationale, how often, what percentage of the time do you hear, oh, okay, well, Mom, that makes sense. All right, I got that now. Okay, now that you put it that way, it makes it much more palatable for me. Is that right? Or do they continue to ask why? Do they continue to probe? Do they continue to throw up objections that you have to address? Not because they're evil little creatures, because they're kids. They want to do what they want to do, and they see no reason why they shouldn't, obviously, because they want to do it. And then when you tell them that they can't, or you're putting guidelines on what they want, or you're lowering their freedom in some way, maybe they'll see the reasoning behind it, but they're hoping they can get you past your reasoning. What happens after, say, a protracted discussion, dissertation, argument, negotiation, conditional ruling? What happens after that? You get frustrated. Well, the kids don't get frustrated because it's in their best interest to wear you down. You're the one getting frustrated. You made your point, and you think it's very rational, clear, understandable, loving, good, best interest for them. You've thrown it all out there, and they still don't buy it. Or if they do buy it, they're not about to admit to you at that moment that they buy it. So what happens? In a moment of frustration, because I said so, that's why. At that point, the child says, oh, that's a great reason, because I said so. Yeah, because you're the boss. Okay, well, I'm not going to tell my kids that because I said so. Now, you gave them 16 different reasons for your decision, none of which they accepted, all of which they argued with. Hitting your limit, because I said so, that's why. And that's the one they latch onto. Oh, because I said so. Now, there's an angle to this because I said so that I think is very important. That is exactly your reason when you get down to it. Because you're the parent. You've made the decision that this is the best move. This is the best decision within which to raise your child up well. You've decided how much freedom to give, when to give a perk or a privilege, when to allow certain social movement. You've decided that. You've decided bedtime, and he's 9 years old. Why isn't it 10? Because you said it's 8:30. Why is it 8:30? Basically because you said so. Because you have your reasons, but they all boil down to because you are the parent. Why can we have only half an hour of television a day and 1 hour a day on weekends? Because you said so. Now, that isn't meaning you have no reason. Of course you have a reason. But underlying that reason is your role as a parent. And your role as a parent is to make a whole bunch of decisions. And those decisions are based upon your best judgment of what is good. Because you said so. Why are you only giving him a $3 a week allowance when his friends get $25 a week for feeding a goldfish that died 2 weeks ago? No, really, because you said so. Because that's what you decided. You're allowed. You're allowed to make these decisions. You gotta quit worrying about going against some psychological expert standard that says if you don't do it this way, your kids are gonna hate your guts. You can't parent like that. I think because I said so is a great rationale. And you can take comfort in knowing that if they have children, they're going to be driven to say this by their own children. Now, why do I think that this particular monologue is helpful to you? Because I said so. 877-57-EQUAL. That's the number. Want to hear from you. Your calls make the show. Thank you.
Concentration camp survivor Elie Wiesel once said to forget murder victims is to kill them twice. 65 million unborn children have been killed by abortion. A small fraction of these victims are buried in human cemeteries. Let us honor them at the graves and memorial markers. Saturday, September 13th, the National Day of Remembrance. See all locations and times at nationaldayofremembrance.org. That's nationaldayofremembrance.org.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity Health Share is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more.
The following program is brought to you in part by MyCatholicWill.com. Surveys show that more than half of Americans do not have a will. At MyCatholicWill.com, it takes as little as 15 minutes to write your will and secure a legacy of faith. MyCatholicWill.com is the exclusive online destination for creating a Catholic will. The process of writing a will is simple and now more accessible than ever. MyCatholicWill.com, a legacy of faith for those you love.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Just a brief announcement before I head to the phones. EWTN News Nightly has got a new full-time anchor. Veronica Dudo, full-time anchor. She's an Emmy Award-nominated journalist. Major stories all over the U.S. and around the world. Cradle Catholic. Brings her faith and her passion for truth and journalism. So that's who we have, and I think that is absolutely wonderful. EWTN News Nightly with Veronica Dudo, clear, concise, Catholic, 9 Eastern on EWTN Radio. Pretty neat. Okay. Hoping she interviews me, you know. We got a call there from Kate, who is, most of the time when we have a call and it goes, my guess would be it's cell phone stuff. Or they have 6 minutes before they have to get to the drugstore and they think they can get it in. Her adult son's girlfriend says she is queer. Now, again, I'm confused on how that word is actually used. I believe it's somewhat malleable. I asked him, Kate says, about this, and he says she is not same-sex attracted, but she identifies with those who are. Okay, I don't know what exactly all that entails. I think in situations like this, you got to get specifics. You got to see what that means, which is fascinating. I have never seen in my life in my life the degree of sexual confusion. Back when I started in psychology, even a couple decades into it, nowhere near this amount of sexual confusion, declaration that I'm no longer the person in this body. I identify lackingly of heterosexuality. I've never seen anything like it. And there are so many social factors involved, so many media factors involved, even the professionals, even the psychologists, even the physicians, the hospitals. They seem to have abandoned exploring the reasons for all this. In all phenomenon, in psychology or social movements, there is an exploration factor. There has been, but the exploration of this seems to be somewhat off limits. It's a fascinating thing, and I think that indeed it is eventually going to get explored. All right. Is Bill ready? He wants to comment on my monologue. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
Hello there, sir.
Hi. This
Thank
is
you
Bill from. Hi.
Thank you for the call.
Well, thanks. Thank you. Is there a number I can call to donate what I can afford?
Well, certainly. Andrew, what is Ave's donation number? He doesn't listen to this show, so I don't know. He doesn't listen to the show, so I don't know if he's going to give me the number.
But I have moral obligation to donate what I can afford.
Well, I think that's very kind of you. That's very kind of you, Bill.
But you don't have the number I can call, or?
Well, the number that Andrew put up there is 877-288. 877-288.
288.
1077.
1077.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll try to call that number after I hang up.
Okay.
So you
had a comment here, Bill, that you wanted to state.
Yeah, did you tell you what it was?
It says here, I believe in the survival fear of disappointing Jesus. What do you mean by that?
I believe in the servile.
Oh, servile fear. All right. Eric, that's a B- awk. See me after class. What do you mean by the survival fear of disappointing Jesus?
Servile.
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 Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah. Servile instead of filial. The main thing that frustrates me with the Catholic Church is filial fear of hurting God's feelings. That's not what Jesus was about. Jesus was about servile fear of punishment. You never see what I mean?
You are not the only one. I just read an article this week in the New Oxford Review. There's a book by Monsignor Pope. There's a book called The Hell There Is, and he was talking about the plentiful evidence for the existence of hell in Scripture and in Jesus' words. And he makes the comment that, in fact, among Catholics, among other Christians, among atheists, they have just decided either hell doesn't exist or it's irrelevant. And his point was, we need to think more about hell because we don't want to find out about it the hard way. But you're right. I think there has been I remember even as a kid hearing more talk about a servile, if you want to call it that, a servile fear, than I just don't want to disappoint. I think that's a little bit of a reflection of our psychology trend in our culture. But given that, you're right. There are certainly a lot of people, both within and without the Catholic Church, who would say we have simply stopped talking about judgment. We just don't like that.
Right.
So that I'm in agreement with you on that one, Bill. We don't live our faith in terror or fear or saying that the Lord's waiting to hit me with a club. We don't live that way. But I think it is certainly rational to say that indeed Jesus talked about it a lot. Now, was he just saying, okay, I'm just going to try to scare you into behaving right because it really doesn't exist, but you need to have something to scare you because you humans respond more to fear than anything else? I don't think so. There certainly isn't any evidence for that. Bill, thank you. Appreciate the call, and also thanks for the donation there. You didn't ask for my own personal donation, so I'm going to let it slide. Thank you, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
You take good care. In one of my books, Family Faith Under Fire, the last question, the last section in the book, I'm asked, what as a psychologist perplexes me more than anything else? Now, I'm giving a guy who's been doing this for several decades. Pretty much heard it all. And usually I can connect dots on the motives and the reasons behind people's conduct. At least somewhat. But the one that perplexes me the most, especially among people moving toward the end of their earthly life, is why they do not look into the eternal question. Is there a God? Is Jesus who he claims to be? The reason that perplexes me the most is because intellectually we all accept we're going to die. Most of us can ignore it when we're on the younger side. As we get older, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, we got to admit we're getting a lot closer than we used to be in all likelihood when we were 30. When you're 30, your future stretches out in front of you like it's infinite. When you're 80, it don't. So given that, why? Why, in the interest of self, or as Bill would put it, servile fear, don't more people say, I think I better look into this? Now, the standard answer to that is, well, once you've headed in one direction in your life for so long, it's really hard to reverse course. You don't even think about it. That's one answer. Another answer is, well, I'm a good person. I haven't shot anybody. I pay my taxes, obey the law. I've been married. I don't run around. I don't gamble. I don't do the big sins, so I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah, I believe in God, but I believe I'm good enough to get there. That's another big justification for not turning any closer to God. But I know me personally, I think about this a lot more than I used to. A lot more. And I think that's God's gift of getting older. That if you recognize your own mortality more clearly, you're going to think about what's afterwards. You got to. If there's nothing, then you won't even know there's nothing because you're dead. But if there's something, what is it? And it is in your, to use the word of the Godfather, Don Corleone, it's in your best interest to look into this. And it is. So people listening, if you're not thinking about all this, if you're not looking into it further, if you're not praying for guidance, if you're not moving back toward the church, if you're not heading back to Mass, if you're not doing those things that would bring you into a closer relationship with our Lord, well, you're just kind of playing around with your soul. And you got to hope, in the end, that God thinks exactly like you do. 877-57-EQUAL. You don't need the 877 to make it free anymore. It's free anyway, because you can call anywhere. U.S., outside the U.S., if you got a smartphone. Pretty much everybody does. I really appreciate your calls. I truly do. Without your calls, there is no show. Or there is a show, but it's all Ray all day. So I do appreciate your calls. Leslie is calling from Oregon. Her son, raised Catholic, I'm assuming, married outside the church. And in so doing, apparently, it sounds like he went into an evangelical congregation, which, not surprisingly, would say, well, we're going to rebaptize you, because I don't know if that Catholic baptism counted. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Is that it? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was actually a Church of Christ, which I have discovered, they're the original thing that's just been hiding out for 1,700 years,
Yeah. Yeah, that's not an unusual claim. So
right.
what was it that made him decide that Catholic Church had nothing for him? Was it that his married wife? Was it his girlfriend? What was it that said, okay, you got to come in and be over here?
Girlfriend. They broke up 6 months previous, and but he, my older kids. So he has 6 older siblings who are all very educated and grounded in the faith. And he said something 3 years ago about whatever it takes. So he tried all the stuff, and they studied, and he thought he might even turn into an apologist. And then I think he just gave up and realized he couldn't have her unless he went over there. And so this Easter, we went to Holy Thursday, we sing in the choir, and Good Friday, Stations of the Cross, the whole 2-hour service in the afternoons. We did Easter Vigil. He was the soloist for the Litany of the Saints, Easter Sunday, and I went out of town for a couple weeks, and he hasn't been to Mass since. He wrote me a letter, handwritten, scanned it, and sent it to me on WhatsApp about 3/4 of the way into my trip, and said he was leaving the church. And I called my daughter over, and we read the letter together, and we both almost threw up. So it's just like, what?
So you didn't even see what you're really saying, Leslie. Is you didn't see any of this coming. He wasn't giving off any signals that I'm starting to doubt the Catholic faith. I'm starting to drift from nothing at all. Just 180 degree right away.
He said a few things here and there, but nothing that you would think was a big alarm. Like he kept it hidden from all his good Catholic friends. He was one of the leaders of the Eugene Catholic Young Adults in Oregon.
So I'm going to assume, before we get into too much detail here, Leslie, I'm going to assume that in the letter he said, I was having these doubts all along.
No, he didn't.
Wow, I'm wrong? You're telling me I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, my heavens.
Now, he could have been behind the scenes, but he was saying that he was trying the whole time to, have the Catholic Church.
Wait a minute, Leslie. Am I going to have to correct you? In the letter, he said I was trying the whole time, which means if he has to try the whole time, he must have been having doubts and questions.
Yeah, well, let's just say this girl is very determined, and he said we argued about all but 2 points over a 2-year period. She resisted the Catholic position.
All right, so I am redeemed in the sense that I wasn't wrong. It was just a different choice of words.
We wouldn't want you to be wrong.
All that said, once we've established, I hate to be wrong for the second time this decade. Once we've established that, it sounds like her pull was very, very strong. He decided, well, if I'm going to be with her, I'm going to have to just go in that direction. And many pastors and priests will tell you that. In a relationship that's headed for marriage, usually the person that is more intense about their particular brand of Christianity will pull the other one along. So here's the good news. There's two things I'm going to suggest for you. The good news is this. Your son knows the faith.
Yes.
And he's probably going to see, as he gets more deeply immersed in that world, that there's much there that is counter to what he learned is true. And there's much there that's anti-Catholic, and that's not going to sit well with him. Okay, it's one thing to say, okay, we're all Christian brothers, but there's a lot of anti-Catholicism still lurking all over the place. So given that, that's going to, I think, probably make him realize, what did I do? That's one. Now, here's the second thing. You said you got 6 kids that are adults, and they love the faith, and I got to tell you, Leslie, that percentage, 84%, is sky high. Absolutely sky high. That's remarkable. Yes, it is. So I would say this. You treat your son and his wife exactly like you treat the other 6 kids.
Okay, and what details? What
you just have the same relationship with them. You love them. You have them over for all the family get-togethers. You avoid, where possible, arguing about the faith. Unless they bring it up, then you can explain. But short of that, no jabs, no barbs, no side comments. Don't do any of that, because it already sounds like she's hostile toward the Catholic faith. And he's going to have to be the one to show her the faith isn't as evil as you think it is. You're not going to be able to do that. So that's what I would suggest. You just view that as, okay, my son is married outside the church to this woman, and we'll see where that relationship goes. There's a pretty good chance it's going to have its... Well, there's 2 things that you said that would indicate to me that it's going to have its rough spots. One, they broke up 6 months prior. Oh, geez. If you're already breaking up and gone back and breaking up and gone back, that is not a good sign for a marriage. That's one. And 2, the fact that he immersed himself in the faith like he did means that he understands it. And unless he has all kinds of doubts, then her views and her new church's views are not going to ring well with him over time. And it's going to be interesting to see which direction that relationship goes. So there you are. Treat him good, Leslie.
The thing that happened during the wedding is they showed a video of his baptism, and then they gave a sermon about his courage to leave the faith.
See, there it is. The anti-Catholicism has started right at his marriage ceremony. See what I mean? Thanks, Leslie. 877-573-7825. I was so scared there for a second. I thought I was wrong. All it was a different choice of words. Whew, that was really scary. I was going to have Andrew just pull the plug on the program right then. Teresa's pa is calling back. No. That's Teresa from Pennsylvania is calling back. She wants to give me an update. Teresa, thank you. What's your update, dear?
Well, Dr. A, unlike Leslie, I knew you were exactly 100% right.
Whew. That was scary there for a second.
Yeah.
I like being 100%. I don't really like 84% or, So what was I right about?
It took me a while. It took me a while to get there, but I'm finally there.
Wait a minute. Wait. You doubted me when I first gave the advice?
No, it wasn't you. It was me. I had to work towards it. I had 100% faith in you, but it was me. I had to change me.
What did you change?
Well, just what you had told me. It was about my brother and the estrangement. There was a wedding, there was a funeral, and the baby shower. You told me to go to the shower which I wound up not going to because it was in North Carolina and nobody else local was going, but I did send a gift and stuff. But how you said that, I was the most religious, I was the most practicing Catholic in my family. My brother has fallen away from the church. My sisters are on again, off again. And you felt that that was part of the tension. And I started looking at it that way. And you also told me I couldn't change people, which I don't know why I can't. I'd like to. And so I started looking at it that way too. And now when I'm with my sisters or something else and they, leave me out of something or whatever, I'm just like, I can let it go because I'm like, okay, that's their decision how to live their life. And even though it hurts me, I have to remember, that I am a child of God, that my value doesn't depend on how they think of me. And just like everything you've been telling me, it's like finally all come together and I'm in such a more peaceful place because I listened to you.
How long did I have to pound away on you before you finally said?
Probably about 3 or 4 years. I think I've probably called you about 3 or 4 times over different things relating to the same family issues, but I finally got it. So.
You know what
my life is much better.
Teresa, it's fascinating.
I'm much happier.
Because you could have been that way 3 or 4 years ago, but for whatever the reason, you decided whatever they do has to make me feel miserable. They're just not being they're not being kind. They're not being nice to me. They're not understanding me, and I'm offended.
Yes. Well, leaving me out of stuff like not getting invited to the wedding, and then, and it was a constant back and forth, and then they would gaslight. It was just so much going on. And my own family told, my husband, my kids were like, Mom, just let it go. And I couldn't, right? Because I'm 86% Irish and I'm stubborn. So, and I'm the oldest, so I want it to be my way.
Well, what's interesting about all this? What is interesting about all this?
Mm-hmm.
If you are the one who practices the faith the most in your family, then you got, there's a section in one of my books where I call it holy or jerk. The question you have to ask is, all right, if they're excluding me in these things, and I am odd person out, notice I didn't say odd man out, I'm sensitive. Odd person out.
Very good, very good.
Is there any part of me that comes across to them holier than thou? And if that's the case, you got to correct that. You got to fix that. If in your best, honest scrutinizing of yourself, you say, no, I don't preach to them, I don't badger them, I don't nag them, I don't say things to make them feel like they're less holy than me, then it is their problem. And if it is, then that's right. Then it is not something that you can relentlessly make yourself upset about.
My son got engaged, praise God, a week and a half ago to a lovely young lady, and they're planning a fall next year wedding. And I told both of my sisters about it, and they both already like, well, we don't know. And I'm like, well, you just do whatever you guys can do. And in my head, I'm thinking, even though you both took 5 days off to go to my brother's wedding to his second wife outside the Catholic Church, don't come to my son's only wedding inside the Catholic Church. But I didn't say it out loud, Dr. Ray, and that was because of you telling me to, just let it go. Whatever happens, happens. You have no control. And thank you so much for that.
Well, Teresa, the theme here, for them to say, well, yeah, we're not sure we can, which is really, it's the old parental we'll see, which means no, they're not coming. So given that, the theme here is, I would guess they just don't like the fact that you're Catholic the way you are. They just don't like it. And because of that, any kind of quote-unquote warm relationship, the intolerance is on their part. You're the one willing to say, no, I'm not demanding that you be Catholic like I am to have a relationship with you. They're demanding, well, no, we think you should be a certain way so we could have a relationship with you. So really,
right.
At some point, my dear, if that is their reason, and you conclude fairly that that's their reason, then they just lose credibility.
Exactly. I mean, that's just the point I've come to, and I can't even tell you, like, how, like, I'm not upset. Like, I would have just, like, dissolved into a mess, right? But I was like, no. Dr. Ray said, you know, you talked about being more Catholic. Not better. I'm not better than them. I just follow my religion more traditionally, and I go to daily mass, and I veil, and that just bothers the crap out of them. But, like, it doesn't matter anymore because I know that they're not going to change. I know I'm not doing the wrong thing, and you've given me the permission to have that freedom, and I'm telling you, it's wonderful.
I got one more thing to give you. Okay. When you have those kinds of phone calls where they say, yeah, well, we may have to dust our coffee table, so we're not sure we can come. You hang up, and you say, Lord, thank you that I could be given a rough time for your sake. Thank him.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, and I do go to confession because I know I can't go to confession to you. So I do have to bring my priest into this. And he says, just look at Jesus suffering on the cross and realize that, you know, offer it up to him. And I do. So between you and my priest, it's just made such a huge difference in my life. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Whoa. I'll tell you what. I think I'm just going to leave you on the line, and I'm going to kind of go away and just for the next 12 minutes of the program here, just let you go on and on about how wonderful I am. I think that'd be okay.
Well, I mean, just that if you're asking for advice and you're asking from somebody who knows, and, you know, I know you've only been doing this for a couple of years because you're, in your 20s, but...
Yeah, late 20s.
You know, you just have to listen to the wisdom of the people who give it to you, right? And if I had to change my life, I'm not going to change them. I had to change me and how I reacted to them.
There you go. And I'll tell you what, one more thing I'll let you go past break. One more thing. After you thank Jesus that you've been mistreated for his name, you also do whatever you can to be as warm to them, like St. Paul says, that heaps hot coals on their heads when you don't respond in kind. There you go. Thanks, honey. Thanks for the call. And
I'm
thank you.
I'm killing them with kindness.
Oh, there you go. I'll talk to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ray.
Bye. Well, maybe not kill them. You want to wound them maybe with kindness. Francesco, you are up next. Anytime anybody refers to one of my books, I'm going to say, okay, jump them to the top of the line. So I got to take a break. We'll come back. I'll talk to Francesco. He also is a PA, or Pennsylvania. I don't know where he calls from Pennsylvania. We have a affiliate near Philadelphia. Affiliate. Cute. Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. Want to celebrate some amazing anniversaries this year in France? We'll visit Normandy Beach to celebrate our heroic military for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Also, the 100th anniversary of the canonization of St. Therese of Lisieux. Join us this October for our Saints and Shrines of France and a visit to the newly renovated Notre Dame Cathedral.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
The devil will always do his best to tempt you into sin until you get to that place where you love sin. That's what he wants. He wants you down there with him. And not because he loves you, he hates you. When you do what the enemy tempts you to do, he does it out of pure hatred.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
I was in psychology class, and my professor just finished a lecture on mental health, and he was giving an oral test. He was talking about bipolar, manic depression, and he asked, how would you diagnose someone who walks back and forth, screaming at the top of their lungs 1 minute, then sits in a chair weeping uncontrollably the next? So I just raised my hand, and I said, that sounds like a basketball coach. Let's talk to Francesco from Pennsylvania. He is reading my book, Jesus, the Master Psychologist, and he has a question from page 4. Hi, Francesco.
Hey, Dr. Ray, how are you?
Good, sir.
This is like my third phone call to you, and I just wanted to acknowledge, your books here. I have 2, and right now I have a question about page 4 where you describe. I mean, this is how I interpret this. You as a clinical psychologist, you use the scientific method to understand your clients' emotional states of mind. Is that correct?
Not really. The scientific method is a very particular way of understanding the universe. If you're saying I try to be rational about understanding my clients, or putting together certain hypotheses about the way they think and act, and then I test those hypotheses by exploring with them, yeah, I guess you could call it a quasi-scientific method.
Oh, okay. So I'm just trying to understand, Dr. Like, in order to apply talk therapy to clients, there's an aspect of like scientific method conversation.
If you want to call it exploring. For example, if somebody comes in and describes to me why they want to leave their marriage,
okay,
and I form relatively soon some ideas, if you want to call them hypotheses, about that, then I have to, quote-unquote, design a bit of an experiment to probe further into their motives and their thinking. Now, obviously, it's very hard to use a scientific method with one person. It's very difficult to do that. You can do that. There are certain ways you can set up experiments. They're called ABAB experiments. But for the most part, if the only parallels really, Francisco, would be me attempting to understand the reality of their thinking and their behavior.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
What is it? What is it on page 4? The exact quote that got you thinking.
So page 4. Page 4. It's the fifth or sixth paragraph down. It lies beyond the scientific method. Science can prove nor disprove Jesus' divinity. Science observes, sets up hypotheses, and tests them. Period. Jesus' presence on earth is a historical event. It lies beyond the scientific method. It can't be replicated.
I see your confusion. Read that very first sentence again. We found a typo, a significant typo, when I was reading the book for the audiobook, and they're going to change it in the next printing. But read that first sentence again.
Okay. Science can prove nor
there
disprove.
It is. Stop.
Oh.
It should be science can't prove or disprove.
Oh, okay.
That's a critical typo. And when I saw it, I said, whoa, this totally changes the meaning of the whole whole segment. No wonder you were confused. I'm impressed that you read it so carefully that it confused you, because it confused me.
Yeah, Dr. Ray, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in your textbook that in your book that, I have questions about, but, I didn't notice that something was wrong in that sentence, but I'm just trying to understand the scientific method applied to talk therapy, because I go to talk therapy, and I'm trying to understand, from my understanding of, high school sciences, there is a scientific method. I don't know if therapists use the scientific method, but I'm just trying to understand better, if the scientific method is something applicable in conversation with people. I don't know.
Not really. scientific method usually involves groups, usually involves hypotheses that have to be tested and confirmed or disconfirmed and then replicated. So in the most tenuous way can you say that therapy relates to the scientific method. But I think, and going back to what I noticed, where it says science can prove or disprove, that is totally the opposite. That typo is so significant. It should be science can't prove or disprove the existence of God. And that's you caught it, Francesco, you caught it. And hopefully they're going to correct that. And those of you with Master Psychologist books, maybe that confused you too when you hit it. Got to run. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for keeping me company. I appreciate it. Good Lord willing. I'll see you tomorrow. Walk with God. He developed science. Wouldn't be science without God's rules.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.